Hello and welcome to our Nigerian viewers and viewers across the world. This is Lunchtime Politics, where we unpack and dissect some of the biggest stories and happenings in Nigeria's political landscape. Let's check out our radar this hour. Security operatives fire tear gas at protesters demanding the release of Kanu in Abuja. Thus, on the program, the long wait for justice by victims and their families continue as Nigerians mark EndSARS anniversary. Lunchtime Politics starts right now. Many thanks indeed for joining us on the program. Wherever you're watching from around the world, we are live from our global headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria. I am Kelly Egiga. Today is October 20, 2025. And if you check Nigeria's history books, it's the 5th anniversary of the hashtag EndSARS protests. The movement remains both a milestone in civic awakening and a bitter reminder of how justice can perhaps be delayed, denied, or distorted. Well, 5 years ago, streets across Nigeria shook with chants of Nigerian youths, their placards raised against police brutality and their voices echoing in unison, quote, EndSARS, end impunity. From Lagos to Abuja, from Port Harcourt, the River State capital, to Jos, young Nigerians confronted a system that they believed had failed to protect them. And in response to the outcry, the federal government directed all states across the country to set up judicial panels of inquiry into SARS abuses and protest-related violence. Over 29 states established panels receiving thousands and thousands of petitions. But if inquiries and judgments were steps towards justice, then implementation has been the biggest missing bridge. 5 years after, why has justice for victims remained perhaps elusive? Why are there court orders stopping Nigerians from expressing and exercising their rights to protests and demonstrations? Or have we indeed moved on from the events and spirits of the hashtag EndSARS protest and movement? Well, these are indeed many questions begging for answers. Well, let's bring you up to speed now from the nation's capital, where organizers of the 3 Kanu protests were earlier today prevented from going ahead with their planned protests in the FCT. Police arrived early and fired tear gas to disperse protesters and onlookers. Operatives, we understand, were positioned along major routes to Aso Rock with heavy security at Eagle Square, Unity Fountain, and the 3 Arms Zone. Security operatives as well blocked entry to Unity Fountain, the protest takeoff point, and denied access to motorists and pedestrians. Heavily armed officers patrolled the area, leaving both Unity Fountain and the 3 Arms Zone inaccessible. Well, our correspondent Friday has been on ground. He reports that all access roads to the Federal Secretariat and the 3 Arms Zone were barricaded. A combined team of soldiers and police officers also fired tear gas at a crowd gathered near the Nigeria Union of Journalists Secretariats in the Utaku area of Abuja, and the crowd, which was not part of the protest, dispersed quickly as security operatives moved in. Although the protests defied an interim injunction by Justice Muhammad Umar of the Federal High Court in Abuja, the order restricted the demonstrations around the Aso Rock Villa, National Assembly, Falls Headquarters, Court of Appeal, Eagle Square, and the Shehu Shagari Way. Police had also warned groups to obey the order or face arrest. Mr. Sowore had rejected the police claim of a valid court order, questioning why no order targeted protesters opposing Kanu's release. In the meantime, Mr. Sowore has been reacting to the action of security operatives in Abuja earlier today. Mr. Sowore will describe the action as an, quote, unprovoked attack from the security agencies, narrates the event that led to the shooting earlier today. Speaking on a breakfast program, The Morning Brief, he confirmed that the brother and lawyer of Kanu were beaten, arrested, and taken to the FCT command and have not been released as at the time of this report. However, also confirmed to Channel TV that other protesters have moved to a safe location and will continue their protests later in the day.
It was an unprovoked attack from the police force and, I would say, combined team of security people. We were starting the protest at in front of the Transcorp Hotel, and this huge contingent of police came, army, civil defense, and we started telling them that we're not their enemies, it's not about them. And suddenly from nowhere, they started shooting at us, tear gas. There were some live bullets fired. But luckily enough, I don't think anybody was hit with a live bullet, but they were just shooting all around us. Eventually, they did arrest some people. I heard Nnamdi Kanu's younger brother was arrested and beaten. His lawyer Jimoko, was also arrested and beaten. They've all taken them to the FCT command. We had to leave the scene and move to a safer location. Some protesters were arrested. Some of them bystanders forced into a police vehicle, many police vehicles. We did inform them officially so that they can provide protection to the protesters, because they always claim that protest is hijacked by hoodlums or whomever it is. We are here to debate fair and just trial of a person who's been in detention for over, it's been in and out of detention for over 10 years. You haven't been able to put any of this evidence in court. No one has ever convicted him of one. You have a trial. You have all this evidence of killings by the person you are trying. Take it to court. Present it to the world. But you cannot tell me that in 4 years, since 2021, that Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped and brought to Nigeria from Kenya. You haven't been able to present such an evidence of grievous offenses against him. So we are going to continue the protest. The solution is to release Nnamdi Kanu, not to shoot at me. It won't stop the agitation.
All right, Umele Sowore speaking there earlier today. Let's get some perspectives and analysis of these events happening in the nation's capital, Abuja. We're joined by the convener, Nigeria Integrity Movement, is also a public affairs analyst. Mr. Isaiah Ijele joins us live on the program from Port Harcourt, the River State capital. Thank you indeed, Mr. Ijele, for agreeing to talk to us. I imagine how you are receiving the events of today from Port Harcourt, the River State capital, where you are.
Good afternoon. Thank you once again for having me. Today is a very sad day, and we are not very happy for all the incidents and all the innuendos and the planning, also the implementation of the protests, because I'm more particular about this day, 2020. First of all, I would like to say, may the soul of the departed, rest in peace. Our brothers and our sisters were shot singing the national anthem. And it is, today should be a mourning day for us. If you ask me for my opinion sincerely, I have been advocating for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. And I believe that in a short time, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will not keep Nnamdi the way he was kept by Muhammad Buhari. So I believe also there are ways and there are diplomatic ways to solve this, to approach all these issues. But, first of all, in my own opinion, putting this protest today on the 20th, which is supposed to be a mourning day, now to sit somewhere with black clothes and, remembering the incident on the 20th October 2020 shouldn't be another day for another yet bullet. It is very, very uncalled for.
All right.
We are in a democracy. And also a freedom and freedom of association. I believe in that strongly. But sometimes we have to be strategic about this so that we will not be found wanted. I will not be happy if of our youth today receive another bullet. I will not be happy. This can be another day entirely. In my own opinion, I'm being sincere about this. This can be another day entirely. And he is due to be released, must be released, because he has not been convicted.
Yes.
Yet. So
Mr. Ijele, let's take these issues one after the other. Let me take you up a bit more on the anniversary, the EndSARS anniversary, 5 years down the line. This protest kick-started, remember, not in Lagos, in Delta State. And then, of course, it quickly spread to other parts of Nigeria. Nationwide, there was a huge gathering of young people calling for systemic change and all of that. When you sit back today, 5 years after, and you look at perhaps the fact that young people are not able to go to the streets and mark this anniversary, do you think perhaps that we have moved on? Do you think perhaps that we have recovered? Do you think perhaps that we have seen justice sort of, and perhaps maybe this issue should be laid to rest once and for all?
You see, that is what I said earlier. You see, today is a special day that all Nigerians should mourn, to, think about what happened, and it is not for celebration. Bro, a lot of the youth who came out seeking for justice, some of them are still turning in their grave today, saying Nigeria the same way they left it. They took the bullet for it. You see, the case of Pro-Kanu should not be juxtaposed with the incident of EndSARS. EndSARS is an event that will continue to be for the next 20 years, even 100 years, as long as we live on this earth. Because for the first time, the youth came together to say, no, it is not just about the EndSARS, just as you say, bad governance, a lot of the demand of the youth. And today, believe you me, we achieve a bit, even though not all. Because today, all politicians, the elite, are very conscious of the event of 2020. That look, if these guys can be organized this way, they can form again another time in the future. And that is what brought about the electoral B20.
Well, Mr. Isaiah Ijele is talking to us from Port Harcourt, the River State capital, and is bringing us up to speed and doing some sort of analysis from his perspectives as regards the EndSARS anniversary, which, of course, is today. Today, October 20, in the history books, is always a significant day because it reminds us of that all-important movement which began sometime 5 years ago, the early October, and then, of course, culminated with the activities or events that played out on October 20. As I understand you're back, perhaps you can just conclude on your thoughts so we can bring in more questions for you.
For Nnamdi Kanu, perhaps another day, so that we all can speak about this. Now, the police and the government might be confused, and the EndSARS adversary, Nnamdi Kanu on one side. It is a lot of issue, because there are people who might not be for Nnamdi Kanu, who are sincerely, genuinely want to be on the street today to remember the lost soul, the departed soul of our brothers and our sisters that were killed at the toll gate in Lekki Phase 1. So now, joining today on the same protest, I don't think the nation will be able to withstand that. In my own opinion, I guess that was the reason the government started talking, standing against it, because I don't believe if you are taken to the street today to protest for Nnamdi Kanu release, and the government will say no, it is not possible. Nnamdi Kanu is due to be released, and from the information available to me, I can assure you, in a short while, he will be released. But today is a very, very important day in the life of every youth in Nigeria, that some of our brothers took bullet so that some of us today will have a voice. And today that gave us the voice. I came into the political space because of 2022 electoral bill. Don't forget, that bill was not before the EndSARS protest. It was before the EndSARS protest. And Muhammad Buhari, in one of his address, said something during those protests. Say, look, if you youth can come out in this form, why not organize yourself ahead of the next election and elect your own choice and vote your choice so you can make the change you are looking for? And that is how many Nigerians came to the street, I know, as collected their PVC before INEC, the professors happened to us. Understand? So please, I just don't want us to combine EndSARS with the protest of Nnamdi Kanu. Thank you very much.
As regards to the elections, the argument perhaps, and I hate to sometimes hold brief for the governments, the argument perhaps is that there was a court order and police warning barring any sort of protests, today. But despite these court orders, Nigerians had to hit the streets. So one would wonder, perhaps the court order restraining, ensuring that, look, there's no demonstrations today, that court injunction perhaps, do you think it's justifiable enough to keep Nigerians inside their houses and not exercise their rights, constitutional rights to protest?
Constitutional rights must also be displayed in the line and according to the rules and regulations, also to protect lives and property. Don't forget, the first duty of governance is to protect life and property. Like I said earlier, if it is about just Nnamdi Kanu, I don't think this will come up. And if it is about EndSARS alone, I don't think. But I can assure you, and you know vividly, that the security system will be overwhelmed if those two things combine on a day like this. Trust me, I don't even know the one to go for. Should I go out for Nnamdi Kanu or should I go out for EndSARS? You can't just suppose those two things. They are two different things entirely. This EndSARS adversary will continue to be even next year. And I will gladly come out next year. And on the side of the government, I'm not condemning them totally, but also they should have looked for a means to provide adequate security to be able to cater for these two protests simultaneously. Because one is a protest, and one is adversary. Now, combining those two things, I am even confused exactly what we are doing today. But as for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, I said it over and over again, even before today's protest, that Nnamdi Kanu is due to be released. You can't keep that man in that place for too long. 2027 is coming. The insecurity in the East today are all the product of Nnamdi Kanu. And most of them kept saying, keep saying on online that, look, until you release Nnamdi Kanu, we will not stop. So why not give it a trial? Why not release this young man? Why keep him there? And, to be fair, it's not even Tinubu that arrested him. He was arrested by Buhari administration. And Buhari is gone. Why is Tinubu still keeping him? And that is what I know. That's why I said the leadership from the East should put themselves together and handle this diplomatically. And I think they will achieve it. We are gearing up towards 2027. Everything is doable. Anything is doable. You just to place your card on the table and you will get the attention of the government of the day. And I don't think also that we should violate the rule of law. If there is a court order by a judge, the next thing should be is to go and vacate the order. Once the order is not yet vacated, it is also against the law. You see, these are two conflicting issues that we must be very technical about it. Don't forget, no nation prosper in lawlessness. No nation. We must be guided by the rule of law. And that is why I kept saying our problem in this country is two, INEC and judiciary.
All right.
When they know the right thing to do and they twist it, it becomes a problem. It is another. And also, don't forget, some of these people have...
Yes, let's see if we can get more questions for you. So I wonder I imagine if you think that we have learned any lessons at all from the events of October 20 and the EndSARS movement. As a people, as a government, I wonder if you think we have learned any lessons about the significance of that particular movement And then my second question would be that when you take a look at what has played out in very recent times, how in some countries the Gen Zs have had to hit the streets. In Kenya, in Nepal, for instance, we saw how when the people decided to come together, especially young people, there was some sort of transformation or change, if you'd like. Do you think that at this point in time, our people are able to come together as well to galvanize ourselves and call for that kind of drastic change?
Nigeria is a very complex state with a population about over 200 million people. You can't equate it with a country of 40 or 20 million, maybe the size of Lagos and Ondo and maybe the West. You can't, expect Nigerians to take to the street like it is.
Well, I think we've lost Mr. Ejele's signals again. We'll see how we can reconnect with him. But again, we're just looking at the anniversary today, EndSARS movements 5 years down the line, and of course also talking about these protests holding in the nation's capital, Abuja. Earlier today, we saw that the police had to fire tear gas at some protesters who had gathered around the Unity Fountain and some other areas there in the nation's capital. We also understand that some roads or some access roads were also barricaded, and that's why you saw earlier pictures of some sort of gridlock and traffic in the nation's capital along the Shehu Shagari way as well, which normally is always a busy route, but today, because the roads had been barricaded by security agencies, we saw that a lot of movements have had to be restricted in some of those areas, while some other areas are experiencing very heavy flow of traffic. Just a moment ago, before I came on set, I spoke with our correspondents who had been on ground earlier today, Friday, and he said, as at now, there are no protests anywhere in the nation's capital. That's the latest we hear, that the protests, after this action by the security operatives, they have been dispersed. So we wait and see, because we understand as well that the leader of the protests, Mr. Sowore, had also promised to gather again at other locations. We're yet to get feeders as to where exactly they will be meeting again to see if they can hold more demonstrations calling for the release of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, who has been in detention now for at least 6 years. We've seen some sort of series of proceedings and court hearings over and over again there. So we'll wait and see how these events get to play out in the coming months. The matter has been in courts. Thankfully, we had told you, our viewers, last week that the Nigerian Medical Association had cleared Mr. Nnamdi Kanu as fit to stand trial. So against reports that his health was failing him, he needed to use medical facilities outside the country. We had told you that the NMA had said that, look, he's fit to stand trial right here in Nigeria, and so we'll get to see how events get to play out in the coming months. I understand we have your audio with us, Mr. Ejele. Let's see if we can get in more questions for you. I mean, I was asking if you think perhaps we have learned some sort of lessons from the EndSARS protest. I understand you're out again. Well, the things that network can do to us, the things that network and internet can do to us in this part of the world. But this is Lunchtime Politics. Let's bring you up to speed with more developments now. As we understand, security operatives in Zamfara State have reaffirmed their commitments to stronger joint operations in the ongoing fight against banditry and other criminal activities in the northwest region. The assurance is coming from the Commander 207 Quick Response Group of the Nigerian Air Force, Gusau, Group Captain Kehinde Akinsho Shade, who made the commitments during a 10-kilometer walk and jog exercise organized by the force to promote team spirit and operational fitness among security officers in the state capital. Well, I understand that public affairs analyst Mr. Ijele is back with us now. Let's see if we can squeeze in one final question for you before we let you go, Mr. Ijele. So moving forward, I mean, you have shared some very serious optimism that Nnamdi Kanu will be released, and you say that his release perhaps is going to bring some sort of calmness or peace in the region, a region marred by sit-at-home orders every Monday, like we are today now. No business, no commercial activities in that region. I'm not sure just how optimistic you are about this, his release, and the possible impacts.
You see, let me tell you this. If you have been following the event with from the likes of Gen 2 Yahoo that was purportedly arrested by the Nigeria army recently, have been saying this. They say, release Nnamdi Kanu and we'll be off the street with our gun. So I believe that all this is about negotiation. Those are the things I believe the government of the day are doing. I want to be remembered for standing for what is right. Not just opposition does not mean you should oppose everything. If they are trying to ascertain some veracity of his compliance to his release for peacetime, why not? But like I said, I am very, very certain that a discussion are ongoing, and President Tinubu have assured them that he's going to release Nnamdi Kanu. So it is just a question of time. And I believe that we will follow it up. We will keep talking about it. Journalists like you should keep also advocating for his release. And I believe very soon he will be released. This is not about politics. It is about the peace and progress of the East. It is getting out of hand. For December, for some of my friends that are planning to go to the East are looking for money for adequate security, sometimes with up to 10, 20 mobiles. That is not, we are not living in a war zone, but this has turned into a war zone. I believe that Nnamdi Kanu wants his freedom and also be cautioned to do the right thing if he's put in a check. For all I know, there is a freedom of speech and association, but then it must be according to the rule of law. I don't subscribe to all his statements that he has made in the time past, but I believe in agitation for freedom, as long as it's according to the rule of law. What brought us to where we are today is lawlessness. INEC not following their own rules and guidelines of election. So if we have this free and fair election in 2027, I don't think Nigeria will be talking of going to the street to start looking for any other. See, the problem in Nigeria is that the elite have seized the elite have seized our freedom. The politicians have seized our freedom. Instead of politicians to think of how they can bring development to their community, to their villages, to their town, they are not organizing rallies for 2027. Right. That is 2 years. You see, it is annoying that people, because they don't create the means to hold a politician accountable. I advocated on your show before. I said it is better for Babalao, the carpenters and downfall driver, carpenters to be our INEC returning, because the professors.
Yes, we are totally and absolutely pressed for time, and we have to go now. But it's a fine place to anchor our conversation with you. I share your optimism, but I question perhaps the motive of releasing Nnamdi Kanu, especially because it's beginning to look like it will be a political move as regards to 2027 in mind. So the motive is what I question as well. And will that bring peace to the region? We will wait and watch this space. But thank you indeed for agreeing to talk to us this hour. Convener, Nigeria Integrity Movement and Public Affairs Analyst, Mr. Isaiah Ijele. Thank you indeed for talking to us on the program.
Very much for having me.
Well, that does it for us on the program, everyone. Thank you indeed for watching. On behalf of the production team and everyone here, I am Kelly Egiga, and you have just been served on Lunchtime Politics. Good afternoon.